Hello there. This is Azhar Ali. I am head of growth at UserPilot, and today you're going to learn a little bit more about proven hacks for boosting conversion for SaaS products. Um, let's just dive directly into it. But before going forward, I want to share something about me so that you get some understanding how I gained my experience. I've been 2 times founder myself, and now I'm head of growth at UserPilot. I'm currently advising more than 4 SaaS companies on similar topics. Um, I've helped more than 500 SaaS companies to improve their activation and engagement, which means that conversion rates as well. And whatever data I'm going to share is through my own research, my experience, and something that we've been raving about SaaS product onboarding research since January 2020. Um, Before going forward, I just want to share one thing that there's a hack number 0, and hack number 0 is that some wisdom that I've collected that will eventually or should help you in your user onboarding and in your conversions. So the first and the most important thing is that you need to talk to your users regardless of the stage, regardless if you're pre-product market fit and post-product market fit, wherever you are, talking to users, make it a habit to do it every week. And this is something that I can't prove with the numbers, but this is something that has helped me over the time and has helped those research and talking to people have improved my marketing skills and improved our messaging and copy as well, and eventually the numbers. So I would highly recommend to actually talk to users every week. Um, and if you're too early, this presentation is basically for everybody, but if you're too early, don't think about scaling. Do things that don't scale. That's not mine. Paul Graham said it, but I've just been following Paul Graham's advice. And when you're early stage, don't start thinking about scaling your email onboarding, scaling your uh, user onboarding, scaling your sales process. Things that you do, learn from it, talk to your users, talk to your prospects, and do things that don't scale and learn from. It's a great opportunity if you're pre-product market fit to talk to your users and learn what they're saying. So eventually you can incorporate in your copy and in your onboarding and your conversions as well. Understand your users at any stage of the journey they are. And so really understand if you want to improve your conversions, you need to understand from the point before even they come to your landing pages, what's the problem that you're solving, and then when they come on your landing pages, how you can help, and then eventually how you can help them to acquire those superpowers. Each software company has some kind of superpower that you enable a user to do. And if you understand that user journey, you will be able to, I would say, much more likely to convert the users. And think of the user metrics. What would they want to improve rather than what you want them to improve, or rather what you want to improve for your own company. Convergence comes second, user problem and solving users problem comes first. And the last and the most important thing is set the right expectations. If you are in early stage, if you still haven't achieved product market fit, I would highly recommend to um, set the right expectation. So if they come inside the application, they should know that you are not a completely fully built product. You're still improving. There's an example here by Julian Shapiro. He talked to Ad Badger and they reduced their churn by 30% just by telling the user that the app isn't done and there more features are coming. And they reduced the number of signups, but they also increased the number of users who came, who were really, who knew what the expectation they should be looking at, what the product is all about, and they know it was not a fully functional or advanced product. So setting the right expectations would really help you to reduce your churn eventually. So don't try to game the system, don't try to game the users, just show who you are, be authentic, and it will help. So this is something that I have learned over time, and these are the tips I can give you before even you start thinking about conversions. Okay, let's jump into aha moment and activation. So conversion is all about aha moment and activation. These are the two important things when a user come into a SaaS product is trying to understand what does a platform do and how can I improve, how can I achieve whatever the goal the user has when they come inside the application. So aha is what is the application. Activation is for you would be that oh, I found the value in the application. So now I understand. So for example, if it's a social media tool, okay, this is a social media tool that helps me schedule. And activation is something, for example, when the user starts scheduling the different posts, different kind of messages, and they schedule it and they save time and they understand, oh, you know what, I can post and schedule it, but I also can save time, which is an activation moment when the user understands the value of your application. So in terms of Facebook, everybody knows it's a social network, but looking at 7 friends was their activation moment. So if people have connected 7 friends, mean that they're more likely to use the application. So do remember the difference, because you need to optimize for both when you're looking at your conversions. And what I'm going to speak mostly about is actually convergence inside the application, not outside the application, and convergence before a landing page. Like, landing page is all you, and that's a lot of people are talking about it. My job is to give you convergence inside the application. How can you convert user from activation to paid to increase retention? So yeah, let's dive into it. And the first hack that I can give you is add welcome screen to activation. What does it mean? Means that whenever user comes for the first time in your application, the first impression really matters. And in this case, what I would recommend you to do is whenever you show them the first pop-up model welcome screen. So what we found out that 40% of SaaS products did not have a welcome screen in our research. They just directly take you to the page and nothing happens. What we recommend you to have is something like a pop-up model, which tells the user directly to take an action. The tip is to have just one action if it's a linear onboarding, and directly take them to the activation. Don't show them Producttours. Don't show them, hey, this is the tooltip. This is what the button does. The user doesn't want that. And the reason why I have such a big conviction on that, because this is our own pop-up model, and you see that when we show this to users, 83% of the users got activated, which means that they came to user pilot, and the first thing they want to do is install Chrome extension. And this is what this is all about. And 83% of users, when they came, they installed the Chrome extension. So I would highly recommend to directly take them to the activation point. And this just increased the number of people using our application. They got the aha much faster. They got value much faster. Okay, you know what? With user pilot, I can do a lot of user onboarding. I can show tooltips. I can show product tours. I can show interactive walkthroughs. I can show a checklist. I can do NPS, whatever that is. But that Chrome extension was the first key moment where the user came. And I would highly recommend to just take them to the one path if your application is based on the quick aha. It can be multiple paths as well, but the idea is that at the welcome screen, you give them a choice and then take them to that specific task. This research that I'm talking about is already done. You can look at it up, and I've already shared it in my notes as well. So that's hack number 1. The hack number 2 is to add contextual onboarding. Contextual onboarding is something that many SaaS companies don't do. What I've seen myself is that when you come to a SaaS application, they directly take you to the welcome screen and the user gets onboarded, and then they leave you to it and let you explore the application, which is great that you don't bug them, you don't disrupt their experience, but you need to see what the user is doing inside the application. And when, for example, let's take an example of social media tools. When you came for the first time, you want to make the user create a social media post, but in the post, once you've created those schedules, that a user has more than 5 schedules there, what you want the user to do next is maybe explore some other features based on what they have already done. And this is what something is missing. So one example that we keep sharing is HubSpot's example. I've been using HubSpot for a while now. I was a free user, and I have already installed the Chrome extension. So it was very easy for me to start using HubSpot. And so I can see that email in HubSpot CRM. And I was not a paid user, but still what happened was that I was using it, and suddenly in my Gmail extension, I started copy pasting my templates, and I did not want to use a HubSpot template example. in a sense that I didn't want to use that feature. And I started copy pasting, and suddenly HubSpot showed me this pop-up model. Tired of copy pasting, use templates. Obviously, template is the paid feature in the Sales Hub CRM, but this was a great prompt for me to see that, okay, you know what, HubSpot waited for me to show this feature. And a lot of companies don't do that. How many don't do that? 70% of SaaS companies do not have custom mentor trigger onboarding. And this is the research that we found out. Obviously, this is just one example, but I have another example from our own application, which you can really see here. So back to the install Chrome extension onboarding, you see that on the right, we have a slide out that says you have successfully installed User Pilot Experience Builder. And that happened when somebody installed the Chrome extension on the right. And what we see that, the whole number, if you see on the right side of the experience, around 81% of the users are actually installing the Chrome extension, which is again great for us, because this happens only when the user has actually installed the Chrome extension. I mean, this takes an opportunity from us to look at the user and say, hey, now you have installed Chrome extension. The next step is to create first experience. Again, this takes them to the next step. And a lot of SaaS companies don't do that, because you don't take them to the next step and to the next step, because you don't wait for the user what they have done. It's working great for us. It has improved our activation metrics. So now not only installing the Chrome extension, but also creating an experience, which is creating a flow, which is very useful for us as well, because the user does it themselves, himself or herself. So that's that. I would highly recommend to wait for the user and see what actions they do inside the application, and then take them to the next step. I will explain you a little bit more on this. What I mean here is that you need to use custom events. And so how to use custom event inside the application. So a lot of applications have those custom events in their database, but they're not passing to either an onboarding tool or to their other applications where they can use it. So a custom event is something that when a user comes inside the application and does something, and then you record it. And you need to record this. Why? Because then you can send them a customized email, customized event pop-up. You can record how many users are doing what inside the application, a lot of things, analytics as well. But how can you use custom event to improve the conversion is by making the user activated. This is the single biggest factor that you need to see, that you need to measure as a growth manager or the product manager to know where is the user in their journey. So let's take example of that social media tool that I was talking about. Let's say you have a social media tool, and the first aha you can show the user is by taking directly user to the schedule a post. Before even scheduling a post, I think the first thing is, even before the aha, is to connect the social media network. So that's the one aha is already there. So let's say before scheduling a post, you connected the social media tool. Now they know, okay, this is a social media tool. I have already learned about it on the landing page. Now I see it, I've connected it. And the feature that you want them to get activated on is create social media posts. And those social media posts keep happening and you take them to that specific step, and they understand, okay, you know what? I can see a calendar here, and I can see that my posts are already scheduled, so that the user is activated. On those two events, you can actually connect. Once they have once they've connected the social media, you can say, hey, great, now create a social media. So you can connect them together, and the user still knows what's happening inside the application. Once you have connected and activated the user, then you can show different feature of your application. Maybe you have some GIFs, you have some social media discovery feature, maybe you have whatever the social media feature. One of my friends have a social media tool, and what he does is he take the user to discover different topics so that you can automate those scheduling as well. So the discovery feature is really important. So that's a secondary feature, right? So now after the user is activated, you want to show them different features of your social media tool. And this is something really important. So I would highly recommend, when you're creating the user journey, think about initial aha, then think about activation, and then thinking about secondary feature, and then make the user, make them a champion user. So you need to enable them to different features. And how do you do that? You create a customized onboarding based on where the user is in the custom event. And that's called contextual onboarding, that a lot of companies miss doing it. So that's that. I hope this is useful for you to create your own journey. We really preach that to our users, and I would highly recommend to use this model to create your own journey. Yeah, so that was 2 hacks. The third hack is to add personalization, add personalized onboarding, and add some touch of the user. And you have a contact. It's one-to-one, not one-to-many. Um, the the best way to have this personalization is to know what describes your user or what is their goal. What we found out that 52% of SaaS companies did not take any advantage in our research. With the industry, with the role, with the use case, with the goals. So they're not asking anything, so they're not giving anything. It's very standard. And only 35% of tools are actually asking for some kind of goal inside the application, which is great. At least some personalization is there. I have an example here. Notion does really well. They ask what best describes what you do. So they're asking, what do you do? And basically they say you're from product management, you're from design, you're from personal, whatever what do you do, just you click on them and then they show you template based on that. And that's something powerful because they understand who you are. Then you can personalize the email journey, you can personalize the activation movements, you can personalize different template based on that. You can do a lot of things just by knowing who the user is, right? That's one way. The other is goals. There'll be people who are talking about jobs to be done framework in the summit. So do look at that and look at what are the jobs to be done framework, at least initially, either by use case, by goals, to understand what the user want, and then take them to that path. And this increase your conversion. Will increase your conversion to an activation point where if your application is too complicated, you can make it less complicated by showing them what they really want to do. I personally have done that outside of application to increase the conversion. So for example, what I did was not only added personalization by knowing what they did, I looked at the custom event and I sent them a personalized messages. So what you see on here is that you can add personalization with goals and connect it with the video-based emails. So there's this application, there's this email template that I'm sending through HubSpot template. Now I'm a paid user, naturally. You see that in the first month, this is a first month stat. So the event is happening anyway. So I get to know that if the user has already installed the Chrome extension. That's my not only Chrome extension, but also create an experience. And third thing I want to know is that they have actually installed user pilot JavaScript into their application. These are 3 things that I really want to know to actually send them this email. So I did send them an email, and we have good numbers. 63% people opened it, 8.3% people clicked on it, but it was good enough to actually take them to the next step. But I also did just adding one more level of personalization by just not knowing what they did, but also pushing them towards an onboarding call. So what I did was I improved my number. If you see on the right side, I added a video in the month of February. This was January number. You see there's a 90% open rate. And the click-through rate is 60%. So more people actually clicked on the video or a CTA that I want the user to click on, and then booked an onboarding call. And that was huge. The numbers from 8.3% to 60% is huge for me. That also further improved, which is statistically not enough for me to give you proof there, but you still see that there's 80% of people open and 75% people clicked on it, which is only 5 people who did in the month of March. We still have the whole month of March to see actually. What I can tell you here is that the subject line was the same, the email was the same. The only thing I added was a video, and then I made a personalized video for you below. And then that's the only thing that changed in the entire email. And you see the click-through rates are higher. So this would always improve the user ability to learn more about the application, to respond to you, to see that if you are adding that level of personalization. Either through your sales email or through your automated email, whatever that is, just by adding that email. It's a very generic email inside. They don't know if I'm personalized or not, but it's still enough personalized to know their stage where they are at and to know that what they have done inside the application and what I want them to do. Great for conversions. And my optimization point was for them to click on an onboarding call, and I did achieve that. Yeah. Another example of personalization that I learned from was Corey Hennes from Baremetrics. Corey did some unscalable way of personalization. What he did was he looked at the user as soon as they have connected their Stripe account from Baremetrics, and he used to automatically send an email by saying, "I can show you the actual metrics since you've connected the Stripe." Again, he got the user activated, so now his job is to get the user to the next step. Don't think conversion is just activation and trial to paid. Convert activation, after activation, there's a lot of things happening inside the application that you want the user to do. And to be honest, he did a great job in there. He sent me, said, "Hey, I'm going to send you a video." He sent me a user pilot Baremetrics video, and it was amazing. He told me that he got 60% of open rate and 20% of reply rate. Amazing, right? So, and he said he learned a lot more about the user to take them to the next step. Highly recommended if you want to improve your conversion numbers. Yeah, so these were 3 hacks. The 4th hack that I have, which is currently not a mistake, it's a hack. Sorry about that. You need to add milestone, checklist, and success celebration. What we found out in our SaaS product onboarding research, that 17% of the users are not getting, only 17% of users see some kind of celebration or achievement or some kind of milestone inside the application. This is a great example. Asana does that really well. Couple of other companies I've seen it. Loom does it really well when the user creates the first video. What's disappointing is that a lot of companies are still not adding that success and celebration milestone. But let's just keep the success and celebration milestone. I'll show you that hack number 4, which has checklist in it. This is one of our users, Sketch Social. They saw that as soon as they added a checklist inside the application, if people clicked on the checklist and completed it, they converted 4x more users than people who did not click or completed it. So having a checklist is already adding some kind of conversion to your metrics. And if I were you, think about this checklist is an activation point. It's a point where the user gets done with the basics. If the user gets done with the basics, obviously he understands or she understands the value of the application. I'd highly recommend to start adding checklists regardless. And what we found out, only 46% SaaS companies 46% of SaaS companies still don't use checklists. So this is a clear winner. If you want to have one key takeaway from this this specific presentation, is just add a checklist. Funny enough that we do have checklists in user onboarding, so you can try user pilot or create your own onboarding checklist, which would be great for your users. But this checklist is very dynamic. It takes the user to the journey and connects all those flows together. So obviously that's why they had higher conversion numbers there. Talking about checklist, I was recently listening to Growth TLDR podcast by Kieran Flanagan, and he had a guest from Box, Raina, and she said that she did one step further. What she did was she added a checklist, but she also added a gamification part to it. So what she did was, as soon as they did one key activation point, she increased the number of trials, and then one key activation point, and she increased the number of trials. And that's something very customized they did, and that's something that's SaaS is going to the next level by letting the users do what the company wants to do them, and then increase the number of days as well. Not every SaaS has this opportunity, but if you have 30 days of trial, perhaps you can reduce it to 14 days and then increase it based on number of trials. Basically, the idea is to reward the user, adding gamification to it, and they increased 32% in their trials. So people became paid user after finishing that checklist. So I'd highly recommend use this to increase the conversion. If the user gets activated, they're probably gonna go pay more, or at least they're gonna pay. I'd highly recommend this because this tactic, not a lot of SaaS companies do it. So you can have this competitive advantage. What you can do, what we suggest to our users is that if the user finishes the checklist, there a discount code is applied to them, and they can just reach out to the company, and then discount code is just ask for the discount code, and then a customized discount code is given to them because they finish the checklist. So this is a step in between. If you don't have a checklist that is based on this, you can still use something like user pilot checklist or any other checklist to just say, hey, if you finish the checklist, you get this much of discount code. Yeah, so that's one of the ways to actually increase the trial to paid conversion. Yes. So that was that. One thing that I've been talking about is custom events. What I found out that a lot of companies do have email automation inside their application where they send emails based on days. But what they don't do is they don't see those days based email connected to an in-app event. So what I found out that if you wanna hack your conversion, you need to connect in-app events which were aligned to your out-app events. Your in-app events should be aligned to your out-app events in the email. Um, and this is what we saw from our numbers, that we do send an automated email which looks like completely personal. You see that there's an email called that was fast. It's a subject line, and in that subject line, what we are doing is, you see this is a whole email is just telling them what to do next, right? So this is the only idea to take them to the next step. We saw that 88% of SaaS companies do not send in-app triggers emails. So you have an opportunity to convert the user based on what they have done. That was fast happens when a user from user pilot has connected the JavaScript. So when they connect the JavaScript, mean that they are really activated, and then we send this email based on number of days as well. So how far is the user in the journey? And we saw like 70% of response rate from there. So that was something mind blowing, that 70% of the users responded to that email and then said, hey, they will use it, or they have some questions or whatever. The idea is for you to take advantage of this kind of an application, this kind of an event inside the application to make the user do next step. A lot of companies now use companies like Intercom or Drip or Autopilot to do that. One thing we found out that these applications always have an unsubscribe link. So we did something crazy. We just built it something small ourselves. You can use user list for that as well. But what we found out that it has to look very natural. So what we did was we had a decency rule. We only send this email on weekdays, not weekends. We send this email based on in-app events. We send them, should come from a normal person. It doesn't come from a system email support or whatever. It comes from a normal person. And we don't have any unsubscribe link in the email. So it looks very normal. Naturally, according to GDPR, you need to send an unsubscribe link. There's a law, spam law there. You can take care of it. Since we built it internally, we didn't have to take care of it. But you can always have something like, if you want to remove the unsubscribe link, I say, please, you can always respond to me by, I will stop sending you a message if you want me to stop sending you. So what we did was like, we removed this. This was a little hack as well, right? So, and then it seemed like coming from a person. And the last thing is that the reason why we did all of this was because the emails usually that come from Intercom, Autopilot, or whatever the email onboarding tool is, or marketing automation tool is, it goes to the promo or updates inbox, not primary inbox in Gmail. And we wanted to avoid that, and that's how we avoided it. So if you can use some kind of tool that can at least in the first 14-30 days that gives you that kind of opportunity. That's a real opportunity for you to convert the users better by some kind of coming from a person email, because eventually email is all about person to person, not automated. So you need to see that, and everybody in SaaS companies know that there is an automated email going to come to you, but the idea is to make it look normal, like a person. And so it came from a person, and it was very genuine as well. So that's a hack that you can use. I don't know which tool that allows it. We have a personal tool. We don't sell it outside. It's just internally built. But you can use user list for that, or incharge.io for that to use this kind of feature. Hack number 6, and this is something that I strongly believe in. Don't use Producttours. So on the left side, you see that there's a company called Venke that shows, hey, this is the customized toolbar. This does this, and click here to do next, whatever. Those things don't help at all. What helps is actually take the user directly to activation point. 29% of the SaaS companies use Producttours, 71% use nothing, only 24% have some kind of interactive walkthrough, which means that that you're not taking the user to an activation point, you're taking the user to telling them what the button does. And I don't care about your button. I don't care about how many features you have. I care about my solution. And when I come into that application, I care about like how it can help me, not about the button. So every SaaS company makes this mistake. So don't make this mistake and try to hack it. And how did we hack it with the numbers was like this. This is one of our users was open to share the numbers with us. I can't share the company though. You see this, like these pink ones, they all have flows triggered, flows clicked, and flows completed. And you see the flows completed here, here, and here are higher, around 60 to 70%. But this simulate conversation that we immediately stopped 11 months ago, we found out that this was a tooltip tour. And so product tours don't work here, but these all three of them are actually interactive tours where they make the user to connect a channel, invite a collaborator, make the user click on message onboarding. And there we found out that if you make the user click on it and take the user to write text input, or based on what user does inside the application and take them to that specific part where the user has to do something, we found higher number of people engaging and completing the flow. And so that's a real proof for you. If that helps to you to understand that why interactive walkthrough where you make the user click on something or write something is more important than when you just show them a generic product tooltip. Yes. So that's about those 6 hacks. One hack for you that has already been told to a lot of people, which I have not added to the slide because I assume that you already know. If you have a product and you're creating some kind of transactional email, do not send the user a confirmation email and then take them to the application. Take them to the application directly inside and make activation email as part of your activation as part of the banner where you can show, hey, click here to activate your email or confirm your email inside the application. Do send them an email. Sending an email is not a problem, but take them to the app directly. And that will, the reason why this is happening is because a lot of users were, their emails go in spam folder and they don't see those emails. They never convert into an actual user and they always stay in spam. And the research is there where Snappa did this, removed the confirmation email, and they see a huge uprise in the users coming to the application and engaging with the key activation moments where they had to use some kind of graphics. So that's there and there. I didn't want to include it because it's something not new from us. It's already all of there in our onboarding teardowns. But if you're doing this mistake, don't do it. This is a one quick hack to get more users inside the application and make them do. And the numbers are there. I don't know exact numbers, but they did improve that, like the sign up to paid version as well. That's all. How you can do these things very quickly. You can either use something like user onboarding tool that already gives you welcome screen, triggering events, checklist, interactive walkthroughs in minutes, not weeks. You can dive deeper into this product onboarding research. It's there. You can ask me. I gave you the URL already. And if you want to learn more, you can join our product adoption school. Again, happy to send you this presentation where you can click on it and get to the whole learning that we also shared with our customers and subscribers. And I definitely recommend to subscribe to an onboarding teardown to learn more from others. Because what we do is we just check an application, look at the application, look at the sign up flow, look at the website, and look at their onboarding, and then say what are the quick wins they can do. And this is something great for learning. These are the things that will help you to improve your conversion rates from landing page to sign up and sign up to paid trial, not paid trial, paid customer. And I highly recommend it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at azhar@userpilot.co. If you like this presentation, tweet at me at azharchad and tell me if you learned something new. And if you need any onboarding teardown to your application, I'd highly recommend to reach out to me, and I'm happy to do it for you. That's all from my side. Good luck with the rest of the summit, and feel free to reach out if you have any other question. Cheers.